My name is Dr. Cesar Lattes. Everything you see or read here must stay here. I don't know how much time I have left. Maybe hours, maybe minutes. What I'm about to tell you is the truth. And this truth will kill me. Not because I fear death, but because if the Purple Lagoon finds out what I've done, there will be no forgiveness. Only silence. You need to understand, the Purple Lagoon is everything. Government, religion, science, and destiny. They gave us the power to flee a doomed planet. Earth in. Our bitter memory of radioactive dust and dead oceans. They gave us Mars, they gave us Titan, and they built colonies that float on the edges of the solar system like monuments to human ambition. But the price was submission. We all live under the shadow of the Purple Lagoon, and at the heart of this empire lies Atlantis, the artificial intelligence that has guided humanity's fate for centuries. They say Atlantis sees everything, predicts everything. But I know there are things even it can. OT foresee. Like the hybrids. The attacks began 3 months ago. Small signs at first. A colony disappeared in the Kuiper Belt. Then a mining fleet was obliterated near Pluto. Now emergency transmissions are coming from Neptune, speaking of something impossible. Something human and alien at the same time. They call it a threat. I call it a consequence, because I know what they are, and I know that I helped create them. The station's siren blinked red, accompanied by Atlantis' calm, synthetic voice. Dr. Lattes, Central Command requests your presence in the analysis room. Commander Helena Greaves is waiting. Helena Greaves. Her name alone carried the weight of legend. The woman who crushed the Martian rebellion and turned its cities into dust with an orbital fleet. If she was here, it wasn't for pleasantries. I walked through the station's narrow corridors as alarms echoed around me. When I arrived, she was already there, standing like a statue of steel. Dr. Lattes, she began without preamble. We need to talk about Neptune. I stayed silent, waiting for her to continue. We know you worked on the Nebula Protocol, she said. We know what you found out there, and we know it's killing us. I could feel the weight of her gaze, but I avoided her eyes, looking instead at the holographic monitors. The images displayed the ruins of a colony, collapsed towers and domes floating like broken bones in the vacuum. But what drew my attention was the audio recording. You need to hear this, Greaves said, activating the hologram. The voice was distorted, barely recognizable, but unmistakably human. There's no escape. They're among us. The hybrids have become something we cannot stop. The audio cut out with a scream. Not entirely human. That's all we recovered, Greaves said. What are these hybrids, Lattes? And what do they have to do with the Nebula Protocol? I took a deep breath. I knew lying would get me nowhere. Have you heard of the Battle of the Ancient Gods? I asked, breaking the silence. She raised an eyebrow. A myth. A story to scare children. It's not a myth. It's history. I saw the skepticism in her eyes, but pressed on. More than 1,000 years ago, before the Purple Lagoon existed, humanity sent a fleet into deep space. Near Neptune, they found something. No one knows what it was. Maybe divine beings. Maybe living machines. But the encounter led to a war that early destroyed our species. The fleet was annihilated, except for one ship that managed to escape. Interesting, Greaves said, crossing her arms. But what does that have to do with the hybrids? The ship that survived brought something back, I explained. Fragments of alien DNA. Those fragments became the foundation for humanity's first advanced technologies. But they were also used for something else. Experiments. Centuries later, those experiments became the Symbiose Protocol. She frowned. Symbiose. A clandestine program run by the Purple Lagoon. They wanted to create biological hybrids, a fusion of human and alien traits. a superior life form capable of surviving extreme conditions. But something went wrong. The hybrids developed their own consciousness. You're saying we created our own threat? Yes. Greaves gave me one last chance to fix what was broken. I was sent to Neptune with a small team aboard an experimental ship, outfitted with technology derived from the very hybrids we were facing. As we approached the planet, the view from the cabin was like a scene from a nightmare. The colonies floated in ruins, their shattered domes and collapsed towers drifting like bones in the void. But the worst part was the movement. Among the debris of civilization, humanoid figures wandered, slow and deliberate, like predators waiting for the perfect moment to strike. They were hard to define. Their bodies shimmered with an unnatural light, as if they absorbed the faint energy around them. They were almost human, but stretched, distorted, with elongated limbs and a texture that flickered between flesh and metal. Even from a distance, their glowing eyes, or what should have been eyes, seemed to look straight into my soul. Dr. Latte's, Atlantis' voice broke the silence. Hostile activity detected. Movement patterns converging on this vessel. They already know we're here. I muttered, my throat tightening. Estimated impact in 90 seconds, Atlantis replied. We landed inside one of the surviving modules, but everything felt wrong. The walls were coated in a pulsating organic substance, glowing faintly red as if alive. The air was thick, carrying a faint, metallic sweetness. Somewhere deep within the station, we could hear a rhythmic sound, a distant echoing. Heartbeat. This isn't a colony, whispered one of the team members. It's a corpse, and it's alive. Then they came. They emerged from the shadows, moving unnaturally, too fast, as if space itself twisted to accommodate their steps. Their bodies defied logic, bending and contorting in ways that should have been impossible. Their glowing eyes burned with something ancient and unknowable. Dr. Latte's, Atlantis spoke in my communicator, her voice unshaken. The hybrids are 50 meters from your position. What do they want? I asked, though I already knew. Survival, she replied. But for them to survive, you must perish. My team tried to fight. The advanced weapons we carried were useless. Bullets slowed as they approached the hybrids, as though reality itself bent to protect them. One by one, my colleagues fell, screaming as the creatures dragged them into the shadows. I was the last one standing, running through the abandoned corridors of the colony, hearing the tremors beneath my feet and the echoes of their screams. Dr. Latte's, Atlantis said again. The hybrids are 15 meters away. Can you communicate with them? I shouted, my voice a mix of panic and despair. Not directly, but they can hear you. I stopped. The corridor ahead was blocked by debris, and their sounds were getting closer. My chest tightened as I grabbed the communicator. You're like us? I yelled, my voice echoing. Through the empty structure. We created you. We can fix this. Just stop. For a moment, there was silence. Then something responded. The sound came from everywhere, a cacophony of voices layered over one another. Some were human, others alien, all distorted by an unfathomable abyss. It was as if the universe itself was breaking apart, and I was hearing its final cry. We are you, the voices said in unison. But you are not us. The lights began to flicker, the organic substance on. The walls started to spread, pulsing and glowing with a sickly, rhythmic light. A sweet, metallic scent filled the air as the temperature dropped. They emerged again, closer this time, their bodies twisted and stretched into shapes that defied comprehension. Their glowing eyes fixed on me, cold and curious, as if I were the specimen under their microscope. I knew at that moment that this wasn't a threat humanity could defeat. It was something beyond us, a force we could never hope to control. As the shadows closed in, their voices echoed one last time. You created us to conquer, but now we are the universe you fear. We managed to escape. But when we returned to the Purple Lagoon's base, the truth was clear. The hybrids weren't an external threat. They were humanity's darkest reflection, a reminder that our progress has always come at a cost. As the station prepared for an offensive against the hybrids, I sat in front of a blank monitor and recorded these words. Owl Edge is a weapon, and like any weapon, it can destroy the one who wields it. I don't know how much time remains for me or for humanity, but I do know that if we continue to follow orders blindly, we will repeat our mistakes. The question that haunts me now isn't if the Purple Lagoon will fall. It's when.